This next story comes from the New Republic. Mike Johnson vows to hold aid to California hostage after deadly fires. Republican leadership continues to use one of the worst natural disasters in U.S. history as political leverage. On Monday, House Speaker Mike Johnson told CNN's Manu Raju that there should be conditions on the proposed federal aid to California in the wake of the deadly wildfires in Los Angeles County. Quote, "It appears to us that state and local leaders were derelict in their duty in many respects. So that's something that has to be factored in. I think there should probably be conditions on that aid." Holy shit.
How many
evil.
fucking Republican governors and people in power have fucked up these things that have happened in their states? And there hasn't been a single time that any Democrat in power has been like, we're going to actually look, we're going to make you crawl on the carpet. And then we're also going to, what we're going to do is we're going to say that you mismanaged this. Like, think of how easy it could be to say that about DeSantis, right?
Oh.
Every 2 weeks, there's a fucking hurricane in Florida. And so and he's getting shit tons of money. So it's so easy to just be like, dude, you should be doing more. You should change stuff. You should be on the leading edge of climate change, because that's one of the major reasons why you're getting inundated with hurricanes every 4 hours. There's ways to make him pay for that, but nobody ever did. But now there's this precedent that they're trying to set where they make, you've got to, I don't know what fucking Johnson wants LA to have a promise ring with him, and he's got to have a fucking purity ball with LA in order to fucking pay their dowry eventually.
Well, and like when these things happen, you've got to look at them and say, who eats the shit? Yeah. Who actually eats the shit?
That's a great point, man. It's a great point.
It's the people on the ground.
The fucking people who lost everything.
Yeah. So here are people who, through no fault of their own, like even if you wanted to say, and I don't buy it, I've listened and read a lot, like from everything that I've read, Los Angeles County, no county is perfect, but California and Los Angeles County had robust zoning and wildfire controls. They did not anticipate a fire like this had literally never happened before, right? So like fires happen, but not like this. This has never happened before. Could they have done better? Certainly. Nothing is perfect. But it's not like they sat on their hands and were like, I don't know, maybe fires might not happen. Like, that's not a true. It's just not a fucking true. They had robust zoning laws in place that, to try to for fire prevention. They had some of the best trained firefighters in the world working in that area. It's just a disaster. And sometimes disasters just happen. That's the nature of living on a planet. Like, we have a planet full of water and brush and fire and climate change. And the conditions could not have been more perfect. I was reading a thing that the heavy rainfall that we had gotten over the last few years in Southern California created an accelerated amount of growth, of brush and other, tinder basically. And then when that shit dries out, we now have more of this shit than we had for fucking ever.
Yeah.
And then you get these Santa Ana winds, and they're blowing in sometimes with gusts of 100 miles an hour. These are forces that you cannot contend with. And who's going to eat the shit when your house is on fire? I'm going to eat that shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to not have a home. I'm going to be the one, as the regular person who lost their pets and lost their pictures and lost their furniture and has to fight with an insurance company to get a paltry and partial reimbursement of all the things that are irreplaceable. Yep. I'm going to do all that. I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to wonder how many more nights I can put on my credit card in the hotel. That's what the government's going to be like, well, I don't know. I don't like that Gavin Newsome, scum or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And the people are attacking Gavin. I saw a Fox News article. I talk about this on the other show that I do, the No Rogan Experience with Michael Marshall. We were talking about, because they just had Mel Gibson on. Mel Gibson was talking about how they didn't do anything for the firefighters, and they didn't do anything for the fires to fight these fires. And when I was researching, I come across an article from Fox News, and in Fox News, they're like, Gavin Newsome cut $100 million from the firefighting budget. And so I started looking into it, and he did cut some money from the firefighting budget. But since he came in, he increased that budget by over $2 billion. So he increased it by $2 billion, but he cut it last year by $100 million. And you're like, well, okay, well, let's put those in a column where we're adding them up.
Right.
And you tell me, because they're saying, on the largest podcast in the world, they're saying he's not spending any money on forest fire, on wildfire prevention.
Right.
And you're like, that's just not true. They're spending an intense amount of money on wildfire prevention. The other thing you mentioned too, that I have to touch on is there's the Santa Ana winds and the 100-mile-an-hour gusts, and those winds did not die down. So those winds come in and then they keep going, right? So it's not like it's just one day of bad winds. It's weeks of bad winds, right? 40, 50-mile-an-hour gusts. But the worst part is that many of the aircraft have to be grounded when those gusts are very high. And that's how they mostly fight those fires. So when you have 100-mile-an-hour winds, you also don't have a bevy of helicopters and airplanes that are able to dip their snouts in the water and shoot it all over the place. They can't do it. So you're only fighting with ground forces, which is not how those fires are meant to be fought. And that's not how we've planned to fight them for a long time. It's because of those winds. Not only was it worse because it made the fire bigger, but it also made the fire bigger because you couldn't actually fight it the way you normally do.
Yeah, and there's an intense amount of just straight up lying.
Yeah. Just
straight up lying about, and I know the term we're supposed to use or whatever is misinformation. I get that, and I like it, but this is straight up propaganda lying coming from the right. I saw a tweet or an X or a post or whatever from somebody and they were a fairly influential right-wing figure. I can't remember who the fuck it was, but it doesn't matter. It's one of these fucking liars for hire that are over there talking about how because of the budget cuts you were talking about, which in context are not really cuts, that, they were reduced to using women's handbags to hold water, to splash water at the fire, that the firefighters were using basically purses to carry water. And then they had pictures. And it looks like these guys have these big satchels. And then you look into it. And there are firefighters that carry big, canvas satchels of water. And they do that because one of the best ways to fight these kinds of fires in spaces where the fires have been largely controlled is to go with these bags and put it out the embers. So they pour it over the embers. It's just more efficient than trying to get water pumped uphill with hoses and shit. It's a standard thing firefighters do. I don't know fuck any about firefighters except for what I just read. But they're not using purses and handbags.
Yeah.
This is just somebody was able to take a picture and then recontextualize that picture to make everybody think that something untoward is happening or that these brave firefighters don't have the tools. That's the tool. That's actually the tool. These big canvas bags full of water are actually a really useful tool for putting out spot embers, which it is necessary for the firefighting. But we just lie. Yeah. People are just fucking lying about it. And again, the people that are going to eat the shit, it's not going to be Mike Johnson. It's never the Mike Johnsons of the world.
Nope.
And he's not trying to punish Gavin Newsome. Gavin Newsome's house isn't on fire, man. It's but there's a sense, I think, that if the feds can hurt enough regular people and get those people to feel like they should turn their anger and their blame not on the feds, but on their local government, that come election time,
that's enough.
It's an opportunity to evict them.
So also, big shout out to Tom. We got a message from Esme this week. Esme, OG Esme. Esme's been listening since the beginning, and she sent us messages. She's okay. She's in LA, but she sent a couple of videos, and she talked a little bit about the fires out there. We just want to say hello to Esme. Gosh, she's been listening since a very, very early podcast. And so when I saw the name, I was excited. So I just wanted to shout Esme out.
Oh my God, it's Esme. That's great.
I just want to shout her out.